Hi, so I just woke up, so my hair is kind of messy and my face is kind of swollen, but I don't care. This is my diary, so. Last night, I was kind of thinking about social media, and now, I don't know why. When I take shower, I think of things, like so many things in my head. And last night, I was kind of thinking about social media and comparison. I wanted to film last night, but I was too tired to do it. So I don't know what exactly I was thinking last night, but we always compare ourselves to other people, others, and we are always. It's so easy for us to look into people's lives, or what they are doing, what they have, or kind of like that, because of social media, and that also enabled us to compare ourselves to others easily. So, and that, I think that is kind of an issue, because comparison, like if you can do like turn comparison into fuels, does that make sense? Like to work hard for something. But I think a lot of people, most of the people, if me, including myself, if I when I'm comparing myself to others, I feel inferior, and I feel like I don't I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things. I don't have this, I don't have that, but she or he has that or this, but I don't, so that means I am inferior and I am incapable, or kind of like that. But now that I know, social media is kind of like, I don't know, the place where people put glorious, or it's just 0.001% of their lives, or just when they are having fun time, or they are enjoying their life, and it's just slightly little moment of their lives. But now that I know that, but I used to feel like that is everything they have, so their lives must be really wholesome, awesome, and my life is looking like that, and like comparison, and I always start to be depressed. So that's why I always stay away from social media. Now I'm creating contents, and I'm posting it on social media, so it's kinda contradicting, but reasons why I am doing that, because social media has such a huge impact on our lives in this world. So I thought this is the fastest and easiest way to convey my energy throughout the world, easiest and fastest way possible. So that's why I am doing social media. But if social media didn't have this much power as it is right now, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do this, because it's really toxic, and it's also dangerous, I guess. So, and I hate it. I hate social media, actually, because sometimes on Instagram, for example, when I just checking my friends' stories, and scrolling on Instagram, and then I found one like interesting reel, and I tap it, and I will keep scrolling, like brain dead, scrolling for like 2 hours without realizing it. Every time I do that, I feel so miserable and waste, these kind of negative things, negative emotions. So I always try to stay away from that. So what I'm trying to say here, comparison, yeah. And then, I feel like I just want to say, like, stop comparing yourself to others, but it's easier said than done. It's way easier said than done. And I know I do that a lot actually, so I can't stop it. Maybe someday I will be able to stop comparing myself to others completely, 100%, but I think it's gonna take time. It's gonna take time and effort and energy to get to that level. So for now, I thought, like, we can't help it. Honestly, not gonna lie, we can't help it. We will compare ourselves to others no matter what. We can do it less intentionally, but zero comparison is kind of like not impossible, but it's far away. Does that make sense? Like far away goals to achieve. So I think solution for that problem is just don't care. That's what I'm trying to do on a daily basis actually, because even though I'm trying to stay away from social media or taking break from social media, but most of my friends that I'm talking with are on Instagram. So when I want to talk to one of my friends, I have to open Instagram, so that kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So, but every time I do that, I don't know why, but I will end up like scrolling on reels, and I will melt my precious couple hours down and regret it. And when I'm watching these videos, I always feel, like I said, inferior, or I don't deserve, I am not incapable, because I'm comparing myself to others who posted these reels, but I just don't care. And that is also what I thought about last night. Now that I know, I kind of experienced, like, realizing experience that had me realize that we humans, people have their own thoughts, their perspectives, their perception off of their experiences. So, and since social media developed, so it's easier for us to access a lot of opinions or thoughts on one thing through social media, but easiest and fastest, most, like, for sure way to realize that something is, how can I say? So I realized that comparing myself to others is kind of like just waste of my time and energy. I realized that fact through my experience. But before that, I've watched like so many videos about like comparison and no need to compare, and I'm also talking about that in my videos. But so what am I trying to say here? So maybe what I am trying to say here is kind of like stop comparing yourselves to others. Like I said, completely zero is hard, and people only realize how irreplaceable, or like how much that person or that thing means to you, like when you lose it. Does that make sense? Like we have to experience some sort of things, and then we will learn a lesson, or we will have realization through that experience. Does that make sense? So even though how much I tell you stop comparing yourself to others, or don't do this or don't do that, like negative things that suffered me a lot and put me in pain a lot before, you would do it because it's kind of like maybe you are doing it habitually, or like it's so hard, and it's so hard to wipe these like negative habits or negative thoughts, negative thinking patterns, or negative something, some sort of negative things. Wipe negative things out of your system, your brain, your mind. So what? But I'm just here to remind you that, I believe literally perspective, perception, our thinking thinking patterns really matters in our lives, because that's kind of what is shaping our lives. So, and even one thing can be interpreted at so many, like, people think differently. People have their own perspective, perception, and we are wearing kind of like lenses that makes us darker, or if you have darker lenses on, and you will just focus on negative side of everything. But if you have brighter glasses on, like perspective or perception, then you can focus on positive side. And even one thing, for some people that could be taken as bad, but the other people can be taking it as a good thing. Does that make sense? So we are the decider, and we can decide how we interpret these things, or how we take it, how we perceive these things as. Does that make sense? So, and these perception and perspective really matters a lot in our lives. So I'm just here to remind you to, I just don't want people to give up on their lives, because I used to wanted to do that, and it's so sad. Now that I know, like, I've talked about this like in older videos, but literally, I think my life is the series of miraculous moments. Maybe now that I can say that, because I went through a lot and I get through it, and I learned so many valuable lessons from that experiences. But before I get through these hardships or obstacles, if I heard like life is the series of miraculous moments, I would say no, that's not true. I don't believe that. Life is just how much I can suffer. I can put up with like difficult situations or obstacles, hardships. Life is all about how much you can suffer. That's what I used to think. But now I know life is the series of miraculous moments, so it's just how you see it as, and it's just how you interpret everything as. It depends on how you see your world, or how you interpret everything as. So, and you can change that, and I am on my way. I'm in the process of changing that. So what? So I'm going back to the topic. It was kind of off topic, but comparison and social media. If you can, taking break from social media drastically change your life if you can stick to that. But sometimes, and since social media is kind of like center of our lives, or kind of like occupying lots of percentages of our lives. So if it's not easy for you to completely take a break from that, I just suggest you to just spend less time on social media. You know, set a timer before you open the social media, and when the time is over, just stop scrolling and spend your time for yourself. You know, if you could spend your an hour or a couple hours, like brain dead, waste an hour or two, couple hours to just treat yourself, or you know, for your better. If you can spend these times for your better, does that make sense? Like for yourself, or spend that an hour or a couple hours with your friends or with your family or just for yourself, it will be awesome, and it will change your life drastically, I guess, or you know, at least it will change your life a little bit, even a little bit. So it will just change your life in a better way. So that's something I am trying to do. Yeah. So, and just remember, everything you see on social media is not everything. So much of them are fake, or just they're faking it, or you know, maybe it's just little like 1% of their lives, or you know, but our brain will think or perceive it as like, or you know, think like, oh, this is their life, like 100%, but it's not true. It's just less than 10% so of their lives. So just don't believe that, and no need to compare yourself to others, but if you do, just don't care. Just don't care. Whatever. Just say whatever. I always say whatever because I can't stop comparing myself to others, but every time I do it after that, I will say whatever. It's just delusion. That's not true, and that's not true. And maybe if you can, maybe if when that happens, if you can focus on what you have instead of focusing on what you don't have, that'll be awesome. Like that would, for me personally, that I think that's what people should do constantly, because we are always, including myself, like focusing on what we don't have. Like we don't have money, we don't have time, what we don't have. I am not courageous enough to do this, or I don't deserve, I don't have that, I don't have this. But instead, you can just focus on what you have. I have like money to afford groceries, I have time to spend my time with my family or friends, or you know, I have my own house to go back and take rest in. You know, I have water to drink, I have food to eat, or you know, I can afford water bills, I can afford to live in a house with water, gas, electricity, and all that. You know, what you have, focus on what you have. Yeah, if you can do that, it will be awesome. Yeah, so no need to compare yourself to others, and if you do, just don't care. Whatever. It's just whatever. Right? So yeah. Thank you so much for watching today's video. It's been too long, so I will finish with this video, but I hope you guys I genuinely hope you have wonderful day, weekends, whenever you're watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Talk to you soon. What is this hair?